Hey, thank you, Peter. It's nice having you for the third time, I think, right? Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for coming in this rainy Saturday here at the 10th edition of COS ICT. It was a pleasure meeting all of you yesterday and today. This was missing in the last 2 years to see everybody and have this physical contact, like just touch. We will continue now with the topic startup investment. One of the main topics, I think, for our ICT sector in Kosovo. We are booming in the startup scene, so to discuss this today with me are three of my friends, Ms. Kusari, Mr. Dobroshi, and Mr. Ardian Hoxha. Can you please join me here? I don't see Ardian. Can somebody ping Ardian? Sorry, I didn't see you. Please sit.
Thank you.
You need a mic? Mic? Oh, here you go. Yes. So
Because of this, you don't see me. You know, like the children when they put on the glasses, they think they're invisible.
yeah. So my panels today have a long relationship with the startup ecosystem in Kosovo, and they are the people who know the best and can share their know-how and share the history, what's happening, and also share the future. I prepared a couple of questions, so I will start with Ms. Kusari. You are one of the most experienced with the startup ecosystem in Kosovo. Can you tell us how it was going, what is happening? Do you see progress in this stage of startup investments? How do you see it in a 5 minute maybe?
How do I see it in 5 minutes?
Yeah. Can you?
Well, I cannot, for 5 minutes, I cannot tell the whole story of maybe 15 years that I'm dealing with the private sector. For me, since the beginning, everything was startup, so depends on which sector we are talking about. So in terms of ICT, if we see in the 10-year experience, there has been a lot of progress done, not only from the business side, but I think it's done also with the efforts done by the donors, by the government. So we see a lot of initiatives and activities that are supporting the startup ecosystem, and so we have more businesses in this sector. So I see a lot of progress. I don't, maybe it's not the progress that I would wish for, because I think I want a lot. But comparing maybe with the region, I can say that within a very short time we can be compared with Macedonia or even with Serbia as well.
So do you see potential now after 10 years?
I see a lot of potential now. I think also the business ideas and also the businesses are more structured than 10 years ago. But there must be also, I think more efforts should be done on building the infrastructure, so the new generation can also seek to the entrepreneurship and not going just working on other sectors.
You mentioned infrastructure. I know that there are a lot of things that have to be fixed, but how do we stand on the legal infrastructure, like framework on investment? Do we have something like that? Did our government prepare anything like that?
In terms of investment, if you are referring to alternative, because if we are talking about traditional financing, I think banks are very stable, and there is not much to do there. But what I see that we need to review, it's also this part of venture capital framework. There is, but needs a total revision. And also what needs to be done is also a reform in order to encourage activities and encourage funding activities also from local investors. So I think in this alternative financing, which is equity crowdfunding, etc., venture funds, we need there is much to be done in order to be in line with contemporary, let's say, frameworks that exist also in Western Balkan.
Oh, thank you very much for this 10 years history in less than 5 minutes. Visar, we'll switch to you with the same question. How you also been involved for a long time in the startup ecosystem. You've been mentoring, judging startup ideas, and how do you see it, how we stand? Is there progress?
Yes, definitely there is a progress. And again, I will refer similar to Leonora. It's something that we wish and we want to be better. Lately, we are now more criticizing because when judging, for example, ideas, because we think that through these years in ICK, but also in this, if I may say, a startup environment, we should produce not just better ideas, but more structured approach to let's say, to startups or approach of startups from idea to realization. We still have some maybe wrong things in vocabulary when dealing with a business, always mentioning, oh, it was a good idea. Idea is really not relevant or not the most relevant thing when you want to create a company. Other than that, a startup is not just first year, can be 3 years, 5 years. But in general, I think that the environment is much better. There is much more places where the idea can be developed into a startup, and when startup can find a support, and support can be also not only financial but also motivation to create sustainable businesses.
Okay, thank you very much. Ardian, same question from a perspective as an entrepreneur. How do you see it in the last year? You started a couple of businesses during these 10 years. So can you tell us your perspective?
More than a couple.
Yeah.
More than a dozen. In fact, when I started my first business 18 years ago, the American School of Kosovo, I wasn't even aware that I had received money from angel investors. I didn't even know the term angel investor. And I had this idea to start a school so that people from Kosovo could go to an American school with very high standards and not have to leave their families like I had to. Like I had to go to the United States. And so I put together this business plan, and I made a list of the people that I would go talk to. And of course, the first people were my uncles, since I didn't have a father. And then if my uncles didn't work, then I would go to some of my father's friends, and so on. And so luckily, after lots of discussions, I managed to convince my uncles. I managed to sell my idea to them.
It's called pitching now.
Pitching, yes. And I got the investment, and here we are today. So basically, we're still at the very early stages. We're very far behind many countries in our region, very far behind Western Europe, and definitely far behind the United States. But the good news is that we're there. The good news is that we have startups that are growing, that are becoming successful, that are expanding regionally and globally. And basically, they are role models for other entrepreneurs. yes, from the government side, there is a lot of legislation that is not in place. No stimulation whatsoever for investors. We know that a lot of countries have all kinds of incentive systems for investors in startups, and we've been advocating for years now to have our government go that way. Like I said, there's individual investors, and there's a number of them in this room as well, who do invest in different companies. And as we're going to talk today about the Keiretsu Forum, I'll leave that for later.
So when you said that there are investors here, so when my next question, I'm going to make very short questions because of the time, so I will need you just prompt answers. What type of investments do you think startups need the most, here in Kosovo? Because as Ms. Kusari mentioned, there are different type of stages, different type of investments needed, but from your perspective, what is the most needed currently?
Well, I mean, definitely early stage investments, because we need to give people the chance to try out their ideas, turn them into business models, because an idea, a product, a service is different from a company, from a business. So we need to help them develop prototypes, develop a product or service that they want to sell, and help them turn that into a company. So that's where we need most of the investments and most of the focus in terms of training too. Most of the focus in terms of the angel investors mentoring, So that's my short question.
Yeah. Are Kosovo startups ready for investment?
Depends. I think this financial literacy is still weak in Kosovo, so and we need to do more to prepare any entrepreneur on what is investment, what it's meant with financing, what does it mean equity. So I think that we should do more efforts on this based on our experience with startups as well. A lot of them, they know about only grants, but what is the investment and why they require investment is still a question mark.
Visar, same question. Are we ready? Or startups investment? Yeah.
Can I be a bit jealous and take a question of Ardian first, shortly?
Yes, please do.
What type of investments?
Yes.
Investments from incubators, from accelerators, from venture capitalists, and from equity investors. Why? Because all those investments are investments with values. We're not talking here about the cash only. We're not here talking about financing a certain operation, but talking about investing also, because all these stakeholders also give value to those, again, financial investments, which are very much needed for startups. Are we ready? No. Absolutely, we were ready even before, but because it goes along. It goes also with giving know-how to startups, so nurturing, mentoring, call it as you want. But this is what every startup needs. Apart from money, which, again, Ardian said can be obtained from those 3 Fs famous from Michael Gold, family, friends, and fools. You also have a possibility to, apart from, again, that financial aid or investment, call it as grants also, through different donors, you need time and knowledge as an investment from people who can give that.
Yeah, so this leads me to the next question. I will use your experience as a mentor. what should a startup founder know before approaching an investor?
Should know the investor.
How important is that?
Very. So it's not, I mean, even among ourselves, 1,000 euro from me or my company, or from Ardian, or from Leonora, are not the same value.
Or 100
depending-
euros from mine.
Or no, it's not. So it's not talking about zeros here, but what the person also or investor brings. It's
Yeah.
very important, especially for startups.
Is there anything else that they should know? I mean, Ms. Kusari
this is
mentioned
a-
that financial literacy and also understanding.
This is a short answer, so
short.
it can be also a long answer, but
Yeah.
I will stick to this answer.
Yeah, you can answer the same thing.
I would relate to the three Fs. I mentioned before that as a country, as a region, we're far behind the world. So in itself, it's a disadvantage, but it's also a very, very big advantage, and we can use it as a motivator. Why? Because of that, whatever startup we develop, the valuation of the company, whether we like it or not, is small. And this is a big advantage because we can attract investors from our country, our region, and the world. And basically, this is how I sell our country, our region to the investors. So it's a big plus. And what they should know, the young entrepreneurs, not young entrepreneurs, startups, they should know that they need to work hard and they need to be open to learning. I visited some of the young people yesterday, and I said, I like their ideas. And
At
I said,
the ICK Innovation Fair, right?
yes, I said, go on Google and search for the word, for the sentence basically, most common mistakes of startups. And right there, you will see what kind of mistakes startups make. And see basically where you stand. See what kind of knowledge you don't have that you need to have. See what kind of competencies you don't have. And for each point that you identify, see what kind of options you have, what kind of solutions you have. Whether to find a person with those skills, knowledge, competencies, and make them a partner, or outsource those services, those whatever. So find that. And basically, that way you will be a complete company, a complete startup with more competencies, with more likelihood to succeed.
Okay. Do we have local investors? You started mentioning that some of you. Is there an investor community being built up here now after 10 years?
Here are investors, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I will ask you what you do
Yes.
with EBRD then. So.
But I will leave to colleagues who already invested on
Okay.
startups.
Tell us what EBRD does for help. There's a couple of programs. Is the Startup Alliance that usually there's a call every year, I think, right?
Yeah.
How did that go? Then I'll switch to the gentleman.
I would rather switch so I can relate what we will do next
Okay,
on the
super.
program.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I
I'll
would like to
start.
hear from the local investors' point of view.
I know Ardian is doing something, but let's
Okay.
have Visar take on this.
As you said, I mean, here are investors, but also out there local investors. Again, investors who invest time, and it's very important for a startup, not just to invest money, to invest time, to invest part of the knowledge, part of the experience, networking, all sorts of things. My whole history of entrepreneurship is based on partnerships. Here's my also partner from 25, 30 years ago, Dritan. So we started businesses as partners in 93 or 4, that old. I am, yes. So we are now continuing with another partnership, and in general we advocate partnerships. And that's what's also important when you think about the investors, because we are not talking about the financial institutions, not financing, but investing. When you invest, that means you're part of it. So partnerships are, and the concepts of partnership and, okay, with scientific language, the corporate governance. So the governance of the partnership is a very important thing, and that's one of the literacies or knowledges that startups has to have or know or be aware of when trying to, let's say, make an idea a company.
Ardian, they're signaling me that we have 4 minutes left.
Okay.
So
I'll use 3
Tell
and
us.
I leave 1 to
Yeah.
Leonora. So basically, Keiretsu Forum is one of the newest initiatives. It's an investor club. It's a global club with over 3,000 members as investors. It has chapters all around the world. And for many years, it's been the #1 in terms of number of investments in companies in the United States. Just last year, they were second because of a group from Ireland that invested more. And we are bringing Keiretsu Forum to our region, not only Kosovo. So we will be covering Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Albania, and Hungary. So 9 countries, and we will have approximately around 300 investors, all under the same umbrella, that startups can come and pitch for ideas. And it's good not only for Kosovo, but also for the region, because through an organization like this, an investor club like this, we not only put more money together, we put more experience together, we partner in investing, we put together our networks, our know-how, we lower the risk. One of us might know the industry better than another, or might know the entrepreneur better than another. So basically, we don't make mistakes in investing in the wrong company, the wrong sector, the wrong time. So
and the wrong people.
Yeah, it's good news, and hopefully this will boost further the involvement, the efforts of entrepreneurs to come up with good, profitable business ideas, and we all make money.
Thank you.
As EBRD, last year we started the Star Venture program, which is dedicated to high potential startups that they want from the Western Balkan region to go on the global market. What we do under this program, so this is every 3 months we do a call and startups apply, and then they are selected by a jury which consists of investment fund managers. And they select them. What we do with them is building their capacity. So we engage local consultants, international mentors, local mentors to support startups on preparing, let's say, their company to go beyond the local market. And also we try also to match them with investment funds that are available worldwide. What we will do as a next phase, that's what's the reason why I was asking colleagues to go first, it's that we want also local investors to be more proactive. So there are, but they are not formalized or as a groups. So what we will do next as a part of this program, as of next year, we will start building also local, let's say, investment or build capacities of local investors on investment funds and etc. And this is coupled also with revisions that we will do also on the regulatory side.
Sounds very promising. thank you for coming today and sharing all this. I think we kept it short and sweet. We gave them all information. All you interested, you can reach to my colleagues here, and for more information you need. Thank you, all the sponsors and Kusari City for enabling this opportunity. And I would like just to tell you to stay longer, because there's a next speaker, is my dear friend, will talk about digital transformation and will share another information, a very important topic. I will